No way he just said this. We have new information on the Texans offense and how it's going to look this season. CJ Stroud's getting more freedom, and I can't wait for this season. Last year with Bobby Slowick, there were so many problems in terms of the run game. And just, again, many issues that were not resolved. So now you look at the fact that Nick Caley is letting CJ Stroud do his own thing, and a lot to break down on Texans Digest. First things first, if you're new to the channel, 77% of you are not subscribed. If you would, stay up to date to all Texans news. Go ahead and hit that sub button. You guys have been crushing it on the latest videos. Just want to say thank you for the support. And let me know your thoughts on this right here. Nick Caley talking about how it has been pretty awesome that he's going to actually give CJ Stroud flexibility in terms of what he's going to do with this offense. And again, Stroud has had a shoulder injury, so there's been a little bit of news on that in terms of why he's not practicing. I'm not too concerned personally just because, again, we're still 2 months out of football. But CJ Stroud is expected to have his more freedom at pre-snap, and whether he wants to alter the offensive line and shift them one way or audible. I mean, that was the biggest problem in the Texans offense last year, was the fact that they were not able to change anything. And a big factor of that was the fact that Bobby Slowick refused to open up the offense. And now CJ Stroud is saying, hey, anything falling under Caley, I will take full responsibility. And last year, he didn't necessarily flat out say this offense is terrible, but he did kind of hint at the fact that this is not what he wanted to run with Bobby Slowick. And there were a lot of play calls that he was just like, man, this is not good. But this stat right here, back in November when the Texans played, 25 carries for 46 yards is something you never, ever see. And I don't know why you continue to run it when you continue to get stopped. And that's the thing with the Texans offense. They had the worst third down efficiency in the NFL last year. And that is a big problem. So when you have CJ Stroud running audibles at the line, being able to say, okay, check 1, 2, we got a Mike linebacker in the middle, or whatever he's gonna do to say, okay, that's what I want to do, that's what I want to set up. We got Nico on a slant. Okay, I want to see it so bad, because whether it's a RPO, he can communicate with the offensive line. All right, we're gonna go from run the pass or pass the run, or we're gonna shift the line left because I'm rolling. Whatever. Again, I looking at the situation, I love to look at what CJ's going to do. And the fact that he's getting more free reign on the offensive line, the call, not only shift, I don't know if that's true, but he's definitely going to be able to audible. Hopefully he's going to be able to shift pressure. I'm sure quarterbacks do that anyway, but this is what you want to see. I know he's a third-year quarterback. Normally that free range is given to other quarterbacks that have been, 7 years with the team, and you've seen Aaron Rodgers just checking at the line. There's been a lot of different things, but this stat on the screen right here, 25 carries, 46 yards. Stop running the ball. It is very irritating to have Bobby Slowick continuing to run the football when it did not work last year. So the fact that Stroud's going to be able to call his own plays is, well, not call his own plays, but he's given the ability to now change the play if he doesn't like it. Pre-snap. Pre-snap, there's a lot of things you can do, but if you can't change the play and you see, hey, cover 2 over the top with a single high safety, or a cover 3, or you see a 2 high safety look, maybe it's man, maybe it's a cover 2 zone, that's, as a quarterback, again, they could disguise coverages, but you're going to change the play if you know, hey, I got a cover 2 look, I got a cover 3 look, let's look to get a slot receiver, over the middle of the field, or let's go screen pass. Like, you could just, I don't know how they're going to be able to change as many plays as they want, but it's definitely a good sign to see moving forward. The only issue is, and I love the fact that last year they were still able to go 10-7. Stroud went 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Again, very okay. There's nothing great, nothing terrible, but it's definitely, the 12 interceptions is a little bit alarming, especially when the fact that he had single-digit interceptions in his rookie year, and that was a top 10, close to a top 10 offense. This offense should be that this year with new receivers, new offense. The ability to do a lot of things pre-snap is huge, but the one problem is the shoulder injury. And I am not concerned, but it could turn into something. My guess is CJ Stroud had a small, non-major operation on his shoulder. So there's all this rumors going around that if he would have gotten surgery, we would have heard about it. This has all the signs of tendinitis, general soreness. So, again, that's Chris Sims, former NFL quarterback. It's when you look at it, I just don't know. They're being very precautionary with Stroud, and it makes me concerned that is this something that they're overshadowing, right? Could this be something bigger than it actually is, right? We're just keeping it safe. It sounds like it's okay, but with the way DeMeco Ryans is talking about it like it's no big deal, it makes me think like it's a bigger deal than it is. Here's DeMeco.
Any work on his shoulder in the offseason?
That's it for CJ, guys. On the questions, that's it. What I said, that's it for him. Like, it's general soreness, and we're taking extra precaution with him. We're not gonna rush him into anything. He'll be fine when the moment is for him to be ready to go. He'll be ready to go.
So DeMeco Ryans acting like it's not a big deal, making me think it's a bigger deal than it is. But the biggest reason to be optimistic about CJ Stroud, just reading off the screen, not being able to audible. That was so big for him not being able to do that last year, and it was probably why he was more frustrated with the fact that not only could he not get the ball to his receivers, but not only could he not change the line at the play, he didn't like the play calling either. So it was a disastrous year 2 for the Texans, and I was looking at it, to be quite honest with you, and the amount of quarterbacks that have sophomore slumps is very rare. Most rookie quarterbacks that have a good season, more often than not, have a better sophomore season. As crazy as it sounds, but there were so many sophomore quarterbacks, second-year quarterbacks, that went to Super Bowls. Big Ben Roethlisberger. You had Russell Wilson. So those are the kinds of players. I know there's a lot more. Brock Purdy went to a Super Bowl in his second year. Joe Burrow went to a Super Bowl in his second year. I could continue to go all day. But that was what I was expecting. And it sounds stupid, but I was expecting the Texans to be a Super Bowl contender. And when you see them going into the second half of the season and they're a little bit rusty, they have, their offense just looks out of sync. They're running it way too much. And that's why in the last video I said, let's throw the ball a little bit more, because I think it'll give Stroud more flexibility. Yes, I love the run game. Take the pressure off the pass. When your run game is as good as the pass, it takes so much pressure. And nobody's expecting Joe Mixon to pop a run if you're just airing the ball out with Jaden Higgins, Nico Collins, and Christian Kirk. So CJ Stroud's taking full accountability to run the show. And I love the fact of how much Caley already trusts him. This is a great quote, because looking at it last year, I think it was a lack of trust between Slowick and Stroud, or a lack of not just trust, but I think Slowick was like, I know what I'm doing. I know it sounds a little bit harsh, but he's like, these are the plays we're going to run, and there's no and ifs or buts about it. Now, Caley's saying, okay, this is the playbook, but I want you to know, whatever you see out there, I'm trusting you. Full force. If you see something out there that you do not like for a play, if it's a draw up the middle, and you see the box being stacked, okay, Let's call it out. Let's go 5 wide, whatever it may be. But this news that CJ Stroud is now the main guy, well, not that he wasn't the main guy already, but the fact that they already have this power to, in a first-year offense, to be like, all right, Stroud's our guy. It might be year 3, but we saw what he could do his rookie year. We saw how bad the offense was in the second year with Bobby Slowick and running these bad play calls. And then not only that, but like there were so many things that went wrong in year 2. You had one, the fact that the offensive line was terrible. That was probably the worst thing, is Stroud did not have a lot of time, and he got absolutely walloped in the pocket. Second most sacked quarterback in the NFL. The second problem was probably the receivers. I'll be quite honest. And I don't want to blame the receivers before the play calling, but I think they're both up there in remarks to, hey, the play calling was just as bad as the wide receiver help. Because Nico Collins went down, Stephon Diggs went down, Tank Dell went down, and the Texans were just, they couldn't do anything. So now they reload on wide receiver. They get a more sufficient enough of what they should do, right? You got Nico, Jaden Higgins, Kirk, Noel, Justin Watson, Braxton Berrios, and even Mechie and Hutchinson if they make the team as 7-8 wide receivers. But again, moving forward, this is a team that, again, it is June, so I'm not going to freak out yet, but I am loving what I'm hearing, not just from OTAs. I know the only real skeptical thing is the fact that, hey, his shoulder could be worse than it actually is. But I'm not buying it. I feel like you look at this quote from Nick Caley, and it kind of sums it up perfectly. I think it's like anything else. The more you do, the better off you end up being. He wants to have the ability to control the offense, and when you're looking at that position, there's a lot of great value in being able to fix problems that come up or unscouted looks that come up. It doesn't happen overnight, that's for sure, but repetition, comfort with the offense, he's working hard, doing a good job. The one thing he said in there that makes so much sense is the fact that there's so many things that come up on defense, unscouted looks, that you do not prepare for in a regular practice. Because there might be a week 5 where you see a defense out there that you were like, whoa, we weren't preparing for this in practice all week. All right, let's change it up. Let's change up the game plan. And that was the thing that Bobby Slowick refused to do. He refused to change up the game plan. And it was so frustrating for Texans fans because week in, week out, we saw 1st and 10. Hey, let's run it. 2nd and 8. Hey, let's run it again. 3rd and 6. All right, it's not working. Let's dump it off a little check down, and it's a little too short or it's a little too covered. And the amount of times Stroud either threw the ball away, not only in the playoff game against the Chargers, there was nothing going for the offense. As good as the Texans played, it was all the defense that did anything crazy. There was a couple of good offensive drives, but there was a lot of crazy, scary moments if you're Texans fans because Stroud was just trying to run for his life, scramble, throw it away, and sometimes, it was either picked off inbounds or, again, there was just nobody open. So now that you have a new offense, this team is being underlooked. The wide receiving core is there. You just have to get repetition with your guys. And this is going to be huge. The fact that he is getting free range of motion at the line of scrimmage saying, okay, we trust you to make the right call. And then they'll probably take that back and when something goes wrong. But I'm going to trust Stroud 9 times out of 10. So let me know your thoughts on this. I think it's awesome news. But this is big stuff coming out of Houston. So thank you everyone so much for watching. It's been Mike Zanetti, Texans Digest. We'll see you in the next episode.